Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So, welcome back, everyone, to Linda Love Talks. It's season 3. And today we have Daniel Molina, and I am saying your last name correct.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
And he was born and raised in New Jersey. So, of course, I had to have him on my show because I'm a fellow New Jerseyan as well. He graduated from high school in 2003, and in August of 2003, he actually was shipped out. He signed up for the military. He joins the United States Air Force. After 4 years of service, he returned to New Jersey, and he's done quite a bit of jobs. He worked in the private sector for 6 years. And then at the end, he did some security work in Florida. And then you decided to work for yourself. You've also done some Uber and some Lyft driving, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. And that must have been interesting. Um, I almost feel like all the Uber and Lyft drivers could actually have like their own reality show of all the characters they probably pick up along the road.
Oh, believe me, that was a topic of discussion with some drivers, even within myself. I thought about that too, because I've come across so much.
Yeah, right. Some interesting people. And he stayed in Florida for a few years, but then returned to New Jersey in 2017. Um, and then he decided to attend Berkeley College, and he got a degree in marketing communications. And once he graduated, he became involved as a social media manager with a company. And now, bring us up to speed. What are you doing now?
So now I'm actually I'm now a managing partner for a company that is involved in the spatial industry, which I know sounds like a really cryptic word, but basically it means that we're talking about something at the industry that is involved around using advanced like techniques to extract data from the surrounding areas pretty much. So we have technologies that we focus on collecting, managing, and analyzing the data around us, from urban planning, science, agriculture, anything that's possible to capture.
Mhm.
That's the industry that I'm in right now, involved in. And I came to that industry via one of the founders from the previous company that I worked for, the Mobile Cigar Lounge, as you were just reading there.
Mhm.
I met the owner, and as I was going out the door for the company, he said, I really like your work ethic, and I want to give you this opportunity to try this out and see if you will like it. So at the time, I was heavily involved with learning about photography and just doing basic things, getting a DSLR, taking my iPhone, going down and just shooting some photography. And it really stuck with me. And so what I saw what this was all about, noticing that we have a high-tech camera, we go out to, any kind of location, like a restaurant or like a retail space or an industrial location that's being renovated to become a commercial place. We're just basically taking, photographs, but just in a different way. And so I really connected with that, and that's where it kind of led me. You know what? This is an interesting opportunity because I think some of the kind of projects that we can be involved in the future
Mhm.
could be really meaningful and intriguing. And so when I thought about that, I was like, you know what? This is something unique, and I always connect with what's unique, and I just ran with it.
And apparently it's been going well.
Yes, I'm in my second year.
Mhm.
My knowledge in the space is growing every day. My partners, they've been involved for 6 years now. So when I joined, I was the one catching up, trying to really get a grasp on all this.
Mhm.
And it's been going well. Our first year, we've kind of laid the foundations down for our business, and now we're in our second year together, where now we're going to ramp things up and really take it to the next level.
That sounds wonderful. So let's take a step back. Did you ever thought you'd go to college? Was that ever like, or was that like the next step or the afterthought or
It was a topic of it was a topic of conversation
Mhm.
many years ago in my life, but a lot of things kept getting in the way, and I didn't think it was something that I could do or should do.
Mhm.
But as you live life, you get thrown a lot of curveballs, and you have to manage and try to figure out a way out to something better for yourself. And so
Absolutely.
yeah, so for a while I've kind of stayed away, figuring I can do it on my own, I can figure it out, but the world has gotten so different where credentials matter, reputation matter, your knowledge, your experience, how you talk, present yourself. All these things were coming into my focus, and I needed a bit more foundational understanding. So college really seemed like the best place to where I can get at least my foot in the ground and really establish myself as a professional.
See, I love that story because that's not your typical college student, like, who, like, studied for their SATs and, like, we're like, "Okay, mom and dad are making me go to school." It wasn't that type of situation. It was more like you did the real world experience, and then you were like, "You know what? I think I might need something else. I need to add to my
Yes,
experience."
yes, absolutely. Because I saw what I was doing, and I saw where I was at, and I thought to myself, I can do so much more. I can be so much more. I yeah, I want more out of life. So what are my avenues to go down? And thankfully, I was still within the range to use my GI Bill as a military veteran.
Nice. Congratulations, because that's always such a smart move.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it was just the perfect thing to happen. So I just hopped on board.
Wonderful. And then my question is, did you, by any chance, are you first generation attending college or?
Yes, yes.
You
I'm the only
are.
person. Yep.
Wow.
Yes. I'm the only person in my family to go to college and graduate. Congratulations.
Likewise for me as well. So I love connecting with first generation students and graduates. It's wonderful story to hear. So how was that? What did your and it's a little bit personal of a question, but I feel like it's such a necessary question for first gens because I think you either get one or the other. Was your family supportive? Did you have support from your family?
Oh yes, they're very supportive about the college decision. They were beyond excited,
Mhm.
because for them it always was more than an arm's length away. Like it was just something in the distance, like nothing that really could happen for them. So for they kind of lived through us by saying you guys can go to college and do what we could never do. So my brother went to college, but he didn't like it. He didn't finish it. He just kind of got out of it. My sister was kind of all over the place, so that was never going to be her way.
Mhm.
And so it just came down to me. And not that that was an influence, but it just the cards played out that way. And so when I said I'm going to college, they were like, "Do you need to ride there? Did you
Oh,
even?"
that is wonderful because sometimes it's one or the other. Sometimes it's a parent that doesn't want their kid to go to school or wants them to just take over their family-owned business. There's lots of like surrounding circumstances around that. Um, and in addition, like what type of community is your family from?
So Latin American. My mother is from Cuba and my dad's from Uruguay.
Stop it! You're like my long lost cousin. No, I always say that every time I meet a Uruguayan because we're very small. Like Uruguay is a country for viewers who don't know where Uruguay is. Everyone knows where Cuba is,
Yeah,
but Uruguay, um, it's a very small country. It's one of the best in South America, not because my parents are from there, but currently their economy's doing well. Doing very well. And, it's about only 3 million in the population, it's been consistent,
yes.
and only 50,000 Uruguayans in United States,
Wow,
and
I didn't.
yeah, so we're small, we're not a very large population, so every time I meet someone who is, like, Uruguayan or half Uruguayan or their parents are from there, I'm like, "My cousin."
Yeah, I've been there several times, and it's a great
Mhm.
country. I mean, I can see why they don't want to leave the country. I mean, it's beautiful. You want to be there. Is a small little paradise, and Argentina's right there. Brazil's up north. I mean, it's great. Great.
Yeah, and you know what's great? that I'm meeting you as well. First of all, there's such a huge populations of Cubans, of Cubanos here, and amazing the strides that Cuban Americans have done here in the United States. And many of them are in business and are business owners and entrepreneurs and so forth.
Yes.
But I love that you also are half Uruguayan because growing up as a kid, I I was usually the only Uruguayan, American Uruguayan in my classroom. So there was no like aspirations of like, is there someone else from my culture or similar culture that I could aspire to be? So I think it's so important to like embrace our roots wherever our roots are from. So I appreciate that you share that information.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, growing up, I lived in West Orange for some years, and surprisingly, there were a lot of Uruguayans there at the time that I was living there. So I really can't say that I didn't really experience them. That I had there was like a clique of us Uruguayans around, so we were there, just small.
Did we bump into each other or something, like, when we were kids or something? I don't know because,
Maybe.
like, it's so funny because, like, when my parents came, they, settled in Orange,
Oh, okay.
but I was in you know how the oranges are where the territory lines of the towns, they just intermingle? So, I was in Orange, but if I walked 3 blocks, I was in West Orange.
Could have been Linda. We could have been cross
Yeah.
paths when we were younger.
That is hilarious. The world is not that big.
No.
Wow, so you get the hardworking definitely from, like, your culture as well.
I would yes, I contribute that to the culture. I mean, my mother was always hardworking, and so was my father. I mean, even to this day, he's 65 and he's driving trucks like every night. So I mean, he's still out there doing it.
So you have to be very interesting when you speak Spanish because do you sound Cuban or do you sound Uruguayan? Because they're different accents.
I sound more Cuban, but I have to try to sound Uruguayan. Like it comes out. If I make it, it'll come out.
That is hilarious because I wanted to ask you, but sometimes I don't. I want to ask just because I'm curious, or just to see find out like if there's a connection, or just to be culturally aware. And I love your last name. I was like, I think he's Cuban, but I'm not sure. And nowadays with last names, you can't tell at all.
That's right. Yeah, you can't tell. Yeah.
People always think I'm Greek, and I'm always like, no, I'm not. But if you think I'm Greek, do I get a discount? I'll be Greek for a minute.
Yeah, I've been told different things. I mean, the one that got struck me the most was someone said, "Are you from Israel?" And I said, "Oh,
Wow.
wow." I was like, "Wow, I've never gotten that," but no, I'm
Mhm.
I'm not.
I've been all over technically, but I also love and I find it endearing when people think I'm from their country, or they
See that?
think I'm
Yeah.
from the I think that's nice. I think that's sweet. I just, it's hard when they start talking to me in their native language and I don't know it, but other than that, I think it's sweet. But getting back on topic, sorry, we got into the whole Uruguay thing and then I get excited. I'm like, "Oh my God, we do exist."
We're out there. You're not alone. Believe
We're
me.
out there. So this is wonderful. Do you feel the same as I was just saying? Do you feel like you wish that you had known more Uruguayan Americans or American Uruguayans?
I mean, I guess perhaps a small part of me, but I mean, I've always connected with whoever I was in front of. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it didn't really matter what race you were. If we developed a connection, that was just it. But I guess because in my household it was mostly Cuban,
Mm.
of
Hmm.
Cuban thinking,
Yeah.
the Uruguayan balance would have been really well. So
Yeah.
my father and mother were separated for a while, so I missed out on that Cuban heritage I
Mhm.
mean, the Uruguayan heritage for a bit. So yeah, I would love to have some Uruguayan influence when I was younger, just to kind of understand a bit more, because I understand the Cuban side a bit more than the Uruguayan. I relate better.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I think someone should start like a website or something and just have like career professionals and it's not for us. I mean, for us it's great. Like, oh my God, you do exist. But for like the younger generation that are like American Uruguayan or first generation and like they just want to know what can they do. I feel like representation in general does matter.
Yeah, because
Um,
I think it bridges the gap of, let's say, if someone's trying to be a professional and they're looking for a Uruguayan-based community or Cuban-based community, just that first initial connection that's made, now the person is more apt to open up and speak about their concerns about a certain issue. I mean, I found that when I transitioned out of the military, coming out, just finding people that are that experience that, I can talk to them instantly because I understand where we come
mhm.
from, and then I can ask them other questions about what I'm thinking.
Yeah, one of the things that I experienced that I had to learn how to be was polite as an American because I feel like the politeness is very American and in my opinion, because in my parents' country of Uruguay, no, we just tell you like what we want to tell you. And it doesn't always come out in the most polite way, or we're very honest. And I had to because in my household it was Uruguay 24/7,
Mhm.
the Uruguay mentality and way of being and food and culture. And then when I stepped out the door and onto the street, then it was like the American way. Um but yeah, I had to learn, and that's why I always sometimes it's nice to talk a little bit about culture so that other Uruguayans watching this will be able to, relate to as well.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to be polite.
Like I said, my household was more Cuban for a while, so
Mhm.
what I'll say is that it was strict.
Yeah.
On the Cuban side was very strict, so that's just how that was.
Yes, definitely. So, moving on, being first generation, did you have a mentor while you were in school, or was there a professor that stood out to you?
In college,
Yeah.
uh, the yeah, there was a guy there. He was the VA representative who, you know, caught wind that I was a vet, and he started to talk to me and connect with me, and so I would always go to him to ask him what's the best tactics and strategies regarding my time here at college at Berkeley. And so I would say, yeah, he took me under his wing, and I was able to go always to him and just talk about not just, college strategies and goals and expectations or just the whole vision of it all, but like life in other way. Like, what do you think, what about life? Pretty
Mhm.
much, I would ask him. So he really helped me to see the bigger picture in some things, and I really appreciate that from him.
That's wonderful. What campus did you attend, out of curiosity?
I attended the Midtown campus.
Oh, you did. I did too for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was mostly Woodland Park, which when I attended, it was West Patterson. I liked it better as West Patterson. I just feel like it sounded tougher
It does have some kind of ring to it. Yeah.
than Woodland Park. I mean, when
Yeah.
you say where's your college at, and you're like it's in West Patterson, people are like, oh, we're gonna leave you alone. If you tell them Woodland Park, they think that like I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's a whole other feeling with regards to that.
Yeah. Well, the
And
weight
then I
that Patterson, sorry,
no, go ahead.
I'm saying the weight that Patterson carries, so I can see why it's called that.
Yeah. But it was nice because I went from West Patterson at that time, it was West Patterson to New York. So when the New Yorkers, I had to go to attend school with New Yorkers, they would like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "I was attending the West Patterson branch, West Patterson site there, so, I'm as tough as you guys."
Yeah, I attended the Midtown, and then I went to a Willen Park, a hybrid sometimes. It was some semesters I would do one and one. Um, but I like them both. They're both great.
Eh, but every campus has its own feeling, like its own culture and its own demographic. Because I remember once we had some kind of program and we went over to Paramus, and I was like, "Oh my God." And then my friends, my classmates were with me, and I was like, "Wow, Paramus is like us, but with money." It
I
was the
really
way
do. Go ahead. That's
No, that was it was like it was a whole different world. Like that's what I say sometimes, and I tell a lot of like my students that I mentor, I was like, go physically to the college. See
yes.
if you like if you feel like you get a good feeling about it, if you are okay with the culture, because the difference about colleges is that you can be like, "Oh, you know what? I don't want to anymore," or "I choose not to," or "I'm gonna go somewhere else." You can still do that. Whereas with employment, for most adults, we're stuck sometimes in our employment, whether we like the culture or not.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's so true.
We find out about the culture like months later, and then you're like, "Oh, is it too soon to move on?"
Yeah. Yeah, like it's like that, the dating stage, you date with somebody, it's all roses and sunshine in the first 3 months, and then on month four, you're like, oh, I didn't know you could say this or do this so I totally get
Yeah, so I
that.
always tell the students it's every campus is different. So always go and check it out. But bringing us back, flashing forward, what's the next step for you?
The next step is to, continue my education in the current space that I'm in, continue to build out the company, continually to develop myself as a professional, as a leader now in this space, and as a business owner. So I strive to never stop learning, and I'm always challenging myself to go to the next level in whichever capacity I can in order to lead people from the front, because that's what leaders are, lead from the front. And I don't believe in standing in the back and yelling. So in order to do that, I need to be a competent professional and just always keep learning. So
Wonderful. And I have another question just because it just popped in my head and you never know who's watching. So your business is still relatively new. Have you thought about investors?
uh, at this point, not yet.
Hmm.
I remember having this conversation with my business partners, and they also thought that right now that would not be the best course of action. But we're not completely closed off to the idea of it. Just at the moment, we're still kind of laying down our eggs and still, making things. Because we focus a lot on processes and systems to make sure that we have a plug and play system, so business can run smoothly. So we're still in that stage, kind of.
Okay. But if should I ever see you on Shark Tank, I'm gonna root for you, okay?
Oh, I hope so. I really hope so.
Because they are casting. I don't know if they are done with the casting for this season, but they are casting. Um, that's my show, and it's really interesting. Once you really understand the shark's point of view on things, it becomes very interesting. The next question that I have for you is, being doing what you're doing now, do you feel like you have balance, or do you just feel like you do what you can with balancing life and work?
I do the best that I can with what I have, but I decided a long time ago that whenever moving forward that I'm going to go all in on whatever I do. So taking that literally, I do find myself sometimes sitting here on the computer for like 12 hours, 14 hours,
Yeah.
just doing my work, and then I miss out on other things. However, I got to bring myself back and always remember that, life is about balance in most things. But so I do, yes, to answer your question, yes. There's a balance there.
Yeah, definitely. And you're absolutely right. I had an interview with a student and he was like, "What's your schedule like now?" I'm like, "It's the busiest I've ever been. It just does not stop." Yeah, my days are 10 and sometimes even 12 hours, and I schedule everything. But I think, bringing back to that question, um, you have to schedule everything. Like schedule in your fun, schedule
Yes.
your appointments, whatever you need to schedule, schedule that because it's worth it. I feel like trying the best way to try to have a balance is scheduling. I know it
I,
doesn't sound exciting, but
living your life all Google Calendar is just probably the way to go in the future.
yeah, and I'm lucky I have Google Calendar that was flashing today. It was I have had a long day, but it is what it is. But I'm so ecstatic. So, um, is this your first podcast?
I no, I've been there was a YouTube podcast that I was on regarding hypnosis and self healing that I was
Mhm.
on, and that's my so this is like would be my second
Oh, okay. All right. I
experience there.
usually like to be the first, but it's fine. I'll be the second. That's not a problem.
Top three, you know.
Top three, top three. My next question for you is, did you do you feel like you're in your career? Do you feel
Yes, yeah, yes.
like it worked itself out for you?
I feel like it's working its way out.
Yeah.
So I'm in my career as as a leader, developing like leading is what I would say my career is. You know, being a speaker and leading and just really learning how to manage companies and people and you know really developing my communication skills, which is essentially you know why I did marketing communications was to develop that. So I really do feel like it's working its way out.
Excellent. And what do you have to say for a lot of people? I think there's a lot of fear with regards to college and finances and financing college, correct?
Yes.
Um, and there's a lot of naysayers that are like, "Oh, well, good luck paying off your student loans," and like, there's that negativity that is kind of thrown towards, college. And I don't know why, because there's other countries in the world that are like are number one when it comes to education, and they never think twice about attending college. What do
Right.
you have to say to those naysayers?
I I would say take make sure to do a really dedicated look at college and don't just dismiss it just because you heard the narrative about college is not important and the student loan problems. Um, I would say be considerate of those issues, but there's a solution around all those things. And if you're someone who's conscious about it and knows where to look, for example, your interview with Michael Irish, I loved it, and I heard he was talking about the grants that are out there, you know, that people can use to further their education. Like those are the things that we can look for to help us pay for our education. Programs are out there; they want to help you, so you just have to go and look.
Definitely. And I love what you just said there. And also, like, lastly, I just want to say, um, okay, honestly, USA is loan USA. We are all on loans. If you own a business, most small business owners will sometimes take out a loan from the Small Business Loan Association,
Yeah.
so, and sometimes they even take out grants. So we are all on, even large corporations have taken out loans. Your mortgage, what is a mortgage? It's essentially a loan that they
Yes.
say you need to pay off in 30 years, but you don't get a raise every year. And
Right.
if you don't get a raise, you don't get a discount on your mortgage. So there you go. And a lot of people, they either finance their cars, that's another loan, or they lease out their cars. So everything's kind of like loan based anyway. I think that you have to be comfortable with the fact that in the United States, most of us will owe someone something.
Absolutely. And I think that if you're going to take out a loan, if I ever take out a loan, I need to make sure that, okay, this loan is for a good reason, that I'm going to see my money back in 5 years, a year, 10 years, whatever the case may be, but it's a loan that's justified and I'm comfortable with it. That's my best approach.
Yes. Um, Lastly, my last question, because we're right towards the end of the podcast here, and my last question here is, what is your message for the audience?
My message for the audience would be that, you know, don't be afraid to live your life. Like just whatever decision you're going to make, take a step towards it. I mean, I've wasted a lot of years just kind of twiddling my fingers, debating, thinking about what to do, where to go. Like start taking action because my birthday just passed. I'm 39. And so when I hit 39, I had a huge moment of reflection. And
Mhm.
I'm about to hit 40, so I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a bigger reflection.
Yeah.
But as I was reflecting, I figured, you know, where did the time go? And I spent so much time just kind of saying, oh, later, oh, that's fine, I can put that off for a year, or I'm too much in my head. So life is not in your head, life is here now. Like take a step, go forward, and make your decisions, because by the time you know it, you won't be able to. That's my message.
I love that. Daniel, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm going to make sure that I have all your links and wherever you want people to contact you if they have any questions or they're inquiring about the business. So I want to make sure that when I post this, it all your links appear on social media.
Thank you so much.